Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I am Rubaya Hasan, counsel at BIAC, and today I will be the Zoom platform host for this webinar. We will start with today's event with recitation from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن طائفتان من المؤمنين اقتتلوا فأصلحوا بينهما فإن بغت إحداهما على الأخرى فقاتلوا التي تبغي حتى تفيء إلى أمر الله فإن فاءت فأصلحوا بينهما بالعدل وأقسطوا إن الله يحب المقسطين
যদি মুমিনদের দুই দল যুদ্ধে লিপ্ত হয়ে পড়ে তবে তোমরা তাদের মধ্যে মীমাংসা করে দেবে। অতঃপর যদি তাদের এক দল অপর দলের উপর চড়াও হয় তবে তোমরা আক্রমণকারী দলের বিরুদ্ধে যুদ্ধ করবে যে পর্যন্ত না তারা আল্লাহর নির্দেশের দিকে ফিরে আসে। যদি ফিরে আসে তবে তোমরা তাদের মধ্যে ন্যায়ানুগ পন্থায় মীমাংসা করে দেবে।
সকলকে আসসালামু আলাইকুম। মাহবুব ভাই, আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
It reverts to Allah's command.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
আমি উপস্থিত।
Thank you, sir. We are grateful.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Justice Amar Hasan.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Your Lordship, thank you so much for joining us.
Great pleasure for me. Assalamu
Ladies
alaikum.
and gentlemen, sir, we're currently streaming live, and I will take this opportunity to play this short video about BIAC's activities. So please stay tuned. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us throughout that video. I would now request our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Muhammad Rumi Ali, to deliver the address of welcome, and he will also be walking us through the event today. As you all know, he's a veteran banker, and he has been he's a deputy governor of the Bangladesh Bank. He's been the founding chairman of Bikash Limited, and has been associated with various institutions, including NBFIs, NGOs, telecommunication, and so on. He is currently chairman of the board at AB Bank Limited. And sir, I now hand it over to you.
Thank you, Rubaya. Our chief guest, Honorable Minister for Law and Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Anisul MP. Our special guest, Mr. Justice Muhammad Rezaul Hasan, Honorable Judge of the High Court Division, Supreme Court of Bangladesh. Secretary, Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Muhammad Manzoor Kabir. Mr. Fida Kamal, former Attorney General of Bangladesh. Mr. Ali Reza Iftekhar, Chairman, Association of Banks of Bangladesh. Our Chairman, Mr. Mahbubur Rahman, Honorable Chairman of BIAC's Board. Ms. Rukia Rahman, former Advisor of Caretaker Government. Ms. Nihat Kabir, President, Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Shams Mahmood, President, Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed a great privilege, and I'm honored to welcome you all to our 9th anniversary dialogue. Thank you for giving us the time. Today, I'd like to pause to look back to where we started and with you walk from there to today and see where we are in our journey to fulfill our mission. I'll attempt to answer that question. But before that, I must thank some of our very distinguished guests. First, the Honorable Law Minister, Mr. Anisul MP, for giving us the time, as he has at every one of our anniversaries the past few years. Thank you, sir. Your presence is an important signal for us, an indication of the government's support for BIAC and ADR. I'd like to thank our special guest, Honorable Justice Mr. Emar Hasan, Mr. Fida M. Kamal, former Attorney General, Chairman Association of Banks, Mr. Ali Reza Iftekhar, for their presence and their support for BIAC. I would like to thank also our Honorable Chairman and members of our board, all our sponsors and advertisers, particularly BIM Group, AB Bank, and CAFCO, and our distinguished audience. Now let me go back to the question I posed. Where is BIAC today in its journey to fulfill its mission? What was BIAC's mission? I quote, BIAC aims to embed the use of ADR as a commercial best practice to help assist, facilitate creation of an ecosystem that fosters investment and is conducive to business. An institution's mission is its ultimate state and a statement, when measured against the present position, gives the coordinates of the present status and whether they're heading in the right direction. In this case, I have to accept that we are a long way off and have a long way to go. The dispute resolution ecosystem of the country recognizes the need and existence of an ADR institution in passing, and that too only on paper. Most organizations in Bangladesh do not consider use of an ADR clause necessary in their contracts. And even if it is included, it is a defective clause which renders ADR ineffective option. We saw the debacle the apparel export industry suffered when recently international buyers contracts unilaterally. Our research showed most of the contracts, surprisingly, did not have ADR clause. So the only remedy the exporters had were the courts in the buyer's country. And that too was inaccessible due to the prohibitive costs. One can say Bangladesh exporters were left to appealing to the sense of justice and fair play of the buyers in the West. Although not a very practical and a professional route, That is what BJP pursued somewhat successfully, thanks to Bangladesh's status as one of the least developed countries. But I'm sure you all will agree this is not the way we want our businesses to be conducted. Bangladesh now ranks 189th out of 190 countries in enforcement of contracts. This means that the value of a written contract in Bangladesh is next to nothing. If all businesses are conducted on the basis of contracts and a party signing a contract cannot be held accountable, it would be like waving a big red flag to any interested investor in the country. This does not mean all investments will stop. There will still be investments, but we as a country will be paying a high risk premium for every dollar. This situation cannot be considered conducive to growth of investment or business. One might argue that enforcement of contract can only happen through the formal legal judicial system. I would disagree with such an argument. Enforcement can be done by any process that parties to the contract agree at the outset. Every developed country in the world has created the ADR infrastructure precisely for the reason that they do not want to burden the courts of the country with every contractual disputes. And the courts should be left to resolve disputes which are more fundamental in nature and the criminal dispute. These countries now have a highly evolved ADR practice and precedents, and all the required infrastructure in human resources and other capacities have been created to handle most of their commercial disputes outside the courts. In fact, we can say that the status and the use of ADR in an economy can be used as a measure of the state of development. In other words, the more developed the country is, the more sophisticated and popular is ADR system. I could have today recounted all the successes we at BIAC have had, and you have seen the film before, the video which told you about our successes. These are very important milestones in our journey, but for Bangladesh, the question of ADR is not a good to have, it is a must have. And the success of BIAC that have been achieved is not enough for Bangladesh to stand and be counted as an ADR-friendly economy. If we are among the countries competing for investor dollars, those countries ahead of us in this will be the preferred destination, not Bangladesh. I'm raising these issues to appeal to the trade bodies, individual businesses, and most importantly, the policymakers to take steps to address this situation pertaining to a low rating in enforcement of contracts. BIAC, as an only licensed ADR institution, will be more than willing to assist at any level to take this forward. Any attempt to solve this issue only by increasing capacity of our judicial services may not work, as international best practice has shown that it works as a combination of both expanding ADR services aggressively and to increase judicial capacity. We at BIAC are committed to fulfilling our mission, and any step by any trade body, individual businesses, and most importantly, the government taken to address this issue will help us to reach our objective. I think I can say with emphasis that BIAC working alone, and I emphasize alone, does not have the logistics, infrastructure, and most importantly, the financial resources at present to sustainably carry out the work needed to fulfill its mission. This needs a national effort, and it is no doubt a national priority. With these words, I'd like to now invite you to our 9th anniversary seminar, and we begin our proceedings with our first speaker. And our first speaker is Mr. Moinul Kabir, the Secretary, Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs Division of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Government of Bangladesh. He completed his LLB honors and LLM from University of Dhaka. He served as Senior Assistant Judge prior to his joining the Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, where he worked as an additional secretary before assuming his present assignment. He is a life member of the Commonwealth Association of Legislative Councils and the Asian Association of Legislative Councils. Mr. Moinul Kabir, sir, can we have your address? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rumi Ali. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Chairman of today's webinar, Mr. Mahbub Rahman, Chairman BIAC Board. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Anisul MP, Honorable Minister, Minister of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs. Special guest, Mr. Justice Muhammad Rezaul Hasan, Justice of the High Court Division. Mrs. Roki Afzal Rahman, Vice President, International Chamber of Commerce, Bangladesh, member of BIAC Board. Mr. Fidaim Kamal, Barrister at Law, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh and former Attorney General. Mr. Ali Raza Iftekhar, Chairman of Association of Bankers and Managing Director of Fister Bank Limited. Ms. Nihat Kabir, Barrister at Law, President, Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Dhaka and member of BIAC Board. Mr. Shams Mahmood, President, Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Dhaka and member of BIAC Board. Ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests and who are connected virtually in this webinar. Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be here with these distinguished guests. I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks to BIAC to arrange this webinar on celebrating the first 9 years impact of BIAC on institutional ADR in Bangladesh. BIAC, as we know, formally started its operation on 9th April 2011. It is an ADR service provider organization facilitating resolution of domestic and international commercial disputes in an expeditious and amicable manner through arbitration and mediation. BIAC has its own arbitration and mediation rules as well, which is composed in 2019. BIAC's panel of arbitrators consists of 11 eminent jurists. Among them, 4 are former Chief Justices of Bangladesh. 48 experts and trained mediators are in BIAC's list of mediators. BIAC has already developed all the facilities required for systematic, comfortable, and amicable arbitration system and mediation as well, and has handled more than 300 ADR hearings till date. We know BIAC is playing a very significant role on ADR in Bangladesh. I want to convey my cordial thanks for the outstanding contribution on ADR. I also congratulate BIAC on the occasion of its 9th anniversary. As the only alternative dispute resolution institution in the country licensed for that, apart from facilitating arbitration and mediation, BIAC also provides training courses on ADR, special arbitration, mediation, negotiation, and take an initiative on providing specialized ADR training on different sectoral matters in money loan court or procurement disputes, human resources management, and many other with other collaborating institutions. Till date, BIAC has organized 10 ADR courses, 27 arbitration training courses, 21 mediation courses. From the very beginning, BIAC has been working hard to create awareness about ADR domestically and globally by conducting several outreach programs as well through seminars, webinars, workshops, dialogues, and many other situations. BIAC has received recognition by signing cooperation agreements with 17 so far, 17 international ADR centers. BIAC is very systematically working. And very recently, I'm very delighted to know that BIAC has already made a MOU with Lawback, which is a Chinese legal services platform, and which is a very, very good network. And I strongly believe that I have a conviction, deep conviction that BIAC, though it is a not-for-profit organization, it will make a profitable platform for Bangladesh for the cause of development program initiated by the Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, especially in the field of FDI. On the verge of graduation from LDC to middle income country by 2024, it is indeed a great challenge for Bangladesh to take preparation for achieving SDG Perspective 2041 and Delta Pen 2100. I strongly believe that BIAC shall continue its efforts to cooperate Bangladesh government in achieving the mission and visions set out for making Bangladesh a Sonar Bangla as dreamt of by our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. At the end, I must say that in January 2020, we had a very good training program with BIAC, and on 5th of December 2020, we had also had a very good webinar on ADR can make faster access to justice program. So it was very successful, I think, and BIAC is very successful, although through 9 years, BIAC has systematically, with its organizing capacity, a way forward to the to other activities and initiatives which are helping us to have the access to justice in our country, and also in reaching towards the mission that is set out for the development of Bangladesh. Thank you very much for giving me the chance. I wish BIAC will be an iconic organization in the field of arbitration and mediation. With all these words, thank you very much for giving me a chance. Thank you, Mr. Rumi Ali, and thank you others who are hearing from me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just before I call on the next speaker, I'd like to make a very short announcement. I have to let you know that our chief guest, Honorable Minister, Mr. Anisul MB, and our chairman, Mr. Mahbub Rahman, have some urgent business to attend to, unavoidable ones, and they have to leave a little early. So we'll have to change the order of the speakers. I hope you'll bear with me, and thank you for your patience. So I'll now call on our next speaker, Mr. Justice Rezaul Hasan. Is an honorable member, is an honorable judge of the High Court Division of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. He has his honors and masters in law from the University of Dhaka. He practiced in the High Court and the appellate divisions before being elevated to the High Court Division bench in 2009. He compiled a book titled Index of Bangladesh Laws. He has also worked as a resource person for World Bank Group. He is a regular contributor to various law journals. Thank you, sir, for coming and delivering your address over here. We welcome you, and thank you for sparing us a few minutes, and for the rest of the group. Thank you. Sir, can we ask you to now speak? Sir, could you please unmute? I think you're on mute.
Thank you very much, the respected CEO of the BIAC, for your uttering so many kind words about me, and I want to begin conveying my thanks to the chair of Bangladesh International Arbitration Council, and to the Honorable Minister for Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, and to all distinguished speakers, ladies, gentlemen, and who are hearing us and participating us in this webinar today. I also convey my heartiest gratitude to the CEO, Mr. Rumi Ali, to all board members and the employee of the BIAC for their generousness in inviting me as the special guest in this August assemblies. In fact, since time is short, so I think I should go directly to my speech from a different point of view, from a different angle. Meantime, the learned audience, I had the opportunity to go through the BIAC arbitration rules and the BIAC arbitration code of conduct BIAC mediation rules and the BIAC mediator code mediation code of conduct, and also did a comparative study between them and other arbitration rules. I mean global arbitration rules, as well as the Arbitration Act 2001 of Bangladesh. I have found that BIAC basically offers the institutional arbitration and mediation facilities or services to the disputing parties requiring its services, on condition that the parties should accept and follow the arbitration and the mediation rules as prescribed by BIAC in order to arbitrate or to mediate in a dispute. While institutional arbitration is sought to be differentiated from the ad hoc arbitration, in that in an ad hoc arbitration, the dispute is referred to an arbitral tribunal consisting either of a sole or of more than one individual to arbitrate in accordance with the procedure agreed upon by the parties or a rules of arbitration that they may be agreed upon and incorporated into the arbitration agreement signed by and between them. However, I assume that BIAC is aware of the provisions of Section 3, Section 8, Section 22, Subsection 1, Section 38, and Subsection 7 of the Arbitration Act 2001 of Bangladesh. Because BIAC rules of arbitration and mediation must not be inconsistent with any provisions of the Arbitration Act 2001, the Act. Section 3, Subsection 1 of the Act provides that the provisions of the Act shall apply in respect of an arbitration only if the place or seat of arbitration is in Bangladesh. This has been reiterated in subsection 4 of Section 3 of the Act, with an expression in respect of with an exception in respect of matters dealt with under provisions of Section 45, 46, and 47 by subsection 2 of Section 3 of the Act. I mean, the Section 45, 46, 47 indeed deals with the foreign enforcement of foreign awards. Now, according to the provisions of Section 35 of the Act, unless a foreign award becomes unenforceable for the reasons specified in Section 46 of the Act, all foreign awards can be enforced in Bangladesh as permitted by subsection 1 of Section 45 of the Act. Awards given in Bangladesh shall be enforceable, which is the business of BIAC, part of BIAC services, as per provisions of Section 44 of the Act. And BIAC shall make a note of the provisions made in Section 44 of the Act in all the awards given by it or the arbitral tribunal nominated by it with the written consent of the parties, so that the party may take post-award enforcement steps as per provisions of Section 44 of the Act. Award passed in Bangladesh by an arbitral tribunal, sole or otherwise, should be filed before the court of district judge or an additional district judge, if so authorized by the government through any gazette notification. What is, however, most alarming is that in the case of a foreign awards, the same shall have to be filed in the court of district judge Dhaka by the explanation given to Section 45 of the Act. In my considered opinion, Section 45 needs to be amended by adding a proviso to it, stipulating that the time elapsed in filing a foreign award in any wrong forum shall be excluded in continuing the limitation period prescribed for filing a foreign award, and that the wrong forum shall return the award upon an application being filed to that end within 7 working days to enable the awardee to file the award before the competent forum. The parties to an arbitration agreement are permitted by Section 8 of the Act, I mean Arbitration Act, to take administrative support of any person. Here comes the role of BIAC. As defined in Section 2 of the Act, the word person shall include BIAC as well as BIAC can accordingly provide administrative services to facilitate arbitration or an alternative process of dispute resolution. As per subsection 22, as subsection 1 of Section 22 of the Act, the BIAC can nominate arbitrators pursuant to the agreement between the concerned parties. Then it can also try to settle the dispute through mediation, compromise, or by any other lawful manner for amicable settlement of dispute pending resolution before it as authorized by subsection 1 of section 22 of the Act. As per the explanation given to section 38 of the Act, Arbitration Act Bangladesh, BIAC can claim and is entitled to get service charges or fees, which is included by subsection 7 of section 38 of the Act within the cost of arbitration. If BIAC undertakes any arbitration through an arbitral tribunal or to be formed by it as per agreement between the parties, then it must pay attention to the forms and particulars of an award as prescribed by section 38 of the Act. BIAC has kept provisions for amendment of its arbitration and mediation rules. These provisions needs clarification by way of amendment, specifically providing that all amendments done, if any, must have prospective effect and shall not impair any right accrued to or vested in any party in the meantime. Moreover, it is advisable that BIAC shall keep provisions or scope to appoint arbitrators from outside its panel for which it may set forth the minimum qualification for a person to be appointed as an arbitrator. It should amend the provisions for disqualification. All of these my advices only, please don't take otherwise. It should amend the provisions for qualification of arbitrators by prohibiting the lawyers, if any, of a party to be nominated as his or its arbitrator. Similarly, appointment of any person which might create any suspicion of bias in the mind of any party should not be appointed as arbitrator. For instance, a relative, a party man or comrade, a member of the same trade body or organization or association of any of the parties to the dispute. BIAC may, to that end, prescribe a formal declaration to be signed by the arbitrators stating that he is not disqualified due to any of the above mentioned or similar other reasons before appointing any person as an arbitrator. I have heard some informations almost though briefly, but very accurately and to the point from the first speaker. And I'm delighted to know that BIAC is in the right path. And I also expect that it will receive proper support, adequate support from the government, since Honorable Law Minister has taken interest in it. And our government is also a very business friendly one. And Bangladesh is a hub for economic investment, as it has a lot of investment friendly law. As the first speaker has mentioned that about foreign direct investment, we have law that protects foreign direct investment as well. So I think that BIL will be able to overcome all the hurdles that it has mentioned, particularly as mentioned by the CEO about the logistic and other financial matters. I don't think that it will be a big factor, and all quarters interested in the economic and financial development of Bangladesh to make Bangladesh as a dignified nation, self-reliant nation will come forward to overcome all these problems. Thank you all, and wish a great and tremendous success to this to this program and all the efforts of BIA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, Justice Imran Khan. Thank you very much for your guiding comments. I have personally taken notes, and I'm sure my colleagues have too, and we will certainly look into them and act accordingly. Thank you again, sir, for coming here. I'd now like to invite our chief guest, our Honorable Law Minister, Mr. Anisul Haq, MP. And as I told you before, our minister is a great friend of BIAC and has been coming to our anniversaries for the last few years, and he has always been very supportive of our efforts. We count him as among the friends of BIAC, if I may say so. So just a bit of introduction about our minister, although I don't think he needs one. Everybody knows him. Nevertheless, I must stick to the form. Mr. Anisul Haq, MP, is the Honorable Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh since January 2014. He had his honors and masters in English literature and LLB from University of Dhaka. He had his LLM from King's College, University of London, UK. Mr. Haq practiced as a senior advocate in the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. He was the chief special prosecutor for both the Bangabandhu murder case and jail killing case. Mr. Haq was also the chief counsel and special prosecutor for the Anti-Corruption Commission of Bangladesh. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Respected Chair of BIAC's 9th founding and anniversary webinar, Mr. Mahbub, special guest, Mr. Justice Muhammad Rezaul, Honorable Judge of Division of the Supreme Court of Mr. Kabir this afternoon at the Bangladesh International Arbitration Centre, BIAC.
Sir, I think there's some issues with the internet over there in the minister's office, probably. We are not hearing it. Speech has been replaced by a logo now. We'll try to reestablish contact as soon as possible.
I think I can okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing slight technical issues from Honorable Minister's office. If possible, sir can keep his video off and still deliver his presentation.
Sir, you're visible again. I think you have to unmute yourself.
এখন শোনা যায়?
হ্যাঁ, এখন শোনা যাচ্ছে, sir.
Okay.
Loud and clear. Can you
I start again by congratulating BIAC for having completed 9 even full years of operation. And I'm very impressed to see the extent of their achievements in such a short period of time. We are in the midst of unprecedented times, a time of death and destruction. The coronavirus pandemic has taken the lives of many loved ones and destroyed the deep-rooted social system. We had taken for granted. Now from there, today,
কথা কি শোনা যাচ্ছে?
না, শোনা যায় না, শোনা যায় না।
শোনা যাচ্ছে না, না স্যার। এটা আমাদের একটু নেটের ডিস্টার্ব করছে 2টা মিনিট পরে আমরা আবার ইয়ে করতেছি জাস্ট 5 মিনিট
I think what we'll do in the meantime is ask our chairman to speak, and then we'll invite the minister again. Is that all right? Yeah. We are sorry. As you saw, we are experiencing a bit of a problem with at the minister's end. But however, I think we should continue our program. I'd like to now request our chairman, Mr. Mahbubur Rahman, to speak. If I say Mahbubur Rahman, Mr. Mahbubur Rahman is just the chairman of BIAC, I think I will not be doing justice, because Mr. Mahbubur Rahman is not only the chairman, he is the conceiver and also the founder of BIAC. He is the one who actually led the business community to recognize the need for an institution like BIAC way ahead in the year 2004. And although he got his license then, but we couldn't start our operation until 2011. That is why it is the 9th anniversary. But it was his foresight that actually made BIAC possible. I think what he has done is a national service by establishing this institution. And as you heard from when I spoke, how important it is in the global scheme of things. I don't think Mr. Rahman needs an introduction. Nevertheless, I will give a short one for those who perhaps don't know. There will be very few of that sort anyway. Mr. Mahbubur Rahman is the current and founding chairman of Bangladesh International Arbitration Centre and BIAC board, an eminent businessman of the country. He is also the president of International Chamber of Commerce Bangladesh. He's the only arbitrator from Bangladesh for China International Economic and Trade Arbitration Commission. Mr. Rahman is the chairman of and CEO of EBTL Holdings Limited and chairman of International Publications Limited, publishers of Financial Express. Mr. Rahman is the only businessman from Bangladesh to be listed in the 150 high impact leaders under the Creating Emerging Market Project 2020 at the Harvard Business School of USA. Sir, the floor is yours. Sir, are you back? Can you speak now, sir?
I can speak, but I would like to hear Mahbub Bhai speak. Let him finish and then I'll speak.
The minister has spoken. We have got his permission.
Please go ahead.
Please go ahead, sir.
আপনি বলবেন না আগে?
না না, আপনি বলেন। আপনার পরে
বলেন। আমি আবার শুরু করি আর কি করব?
হ্যাঁ, বলেন স্যার।
যতটুকু বলছেন ঠিক আছে, বাকিটা
ঠিক আছে। Disputes that appear because of the new reality must be resolved with speed. A year has been lost with either no or little activity, and we cannot be mired in conflicts to lose more time. It is also the truth that the ordinary courts system, by following its due process, cannot alone face the new challenges. Therefore, it is imperative that we focus on the alternative dispute resolution system to take us through these hard times. At present, the present scenario shows that our courts are overburdened with cases with nearly 3.6 million cases pending for disposal, which is alarming. Many countries, when faced with such backlogs, have opted for innovative solutions for resolution of disputes. Use of alternative dispute resolution, ADR, methods for settlement of business disputes is widespread in developed and many developing countries. A viable and efficient ADR regime is critical not only for the progress of the legal and regulatory sectors in any country, but also for national economic growth as a whole. In view of the ongoing extraordinary circumstances that has emerged from COVID-19 situation, under the definitive direction of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the government has enacted use of information technology by the Court Act 2020 to carry out trials through digital means. Our judiciary has already started conducting court proceedings via video conferencing. However, we are yet to go a long way regarding the virtual form of ADR. Suggested virtual ADR practices can either be based on phone conferences or internet-supported video conferences. I'm confident that at this crisis period, BIAC can play a pivotal role in this regard. Although the legal framework exists, ADR is not yet widely practiced in its modern form. Of course, many businesses adopt informal arrangements for settlement of disputes where they work, which is really excellent, but outcome of such arrangements has not been proven effective owing to lack of awareness, absence of trained personnel, and lack of willingness to adopt to a changed system. BIAC's joining the process of settling commercial disputes out of court has created a ray of hope. BIAC's activities in the last 9 years, including handling non-performing loan cases, facilitating arbitration and mediation, conducting training and workshops, have substantially contributed in the field of promoting alternative dispute resolution practices. We have representation from the financial sector, legal fraternity, and the business sector in today's event. The onus is on all of us to make a contribution towards the betterment of our country. After years of struggle, we have reached the status of a middle-income country, and the initiatives that we take today will decide whether where we are headed tomorrow. I must commend BIAC's continuous effort to set up a framework on ADR through the various training and outreach activities, in addition to facilitating resolution of cases. BIAC has successfully highlighted how ADR can be effective from the investment perspective as a part of the justice delivery system. In meeting the substantial development goals, in creating an environment conducive to business, and how the new generation of lawyers, bankers, entrepreneurs, and many other professionals can benefit from adopting ADR skills at work. The present government, under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, is relentlessly working on incorporation of ADR in different existing laws in order to make dispute resolution system easier and less time-consuming. Some progress has already been achieved with the amendment of the Money Loan Court Act 2003 and the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. BIAC's activities being conducive with the government's approach to popularize ADR, I make a firm commitment to stand by BIAC at all times. With these words, I wish BIAC, as the country's only ADR service provider organization, marching forward in achieving success in all its upcoming programs, and be successful in institutionalizing global best practices of ADR in the country and in the region. Thank you very much. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu, Bangladesh Chirojibi Ho. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Honorable Minister. We have taken your comments and your very encouraging words to heart, and we'll certainly act on them. Your mentioning BIAC as a ray of hope for the country will certainly be not lost on us, and inshallah, we'll act on that too, on the comment, on the recommendations made by you on our way forward. Thank you again. And now call on our chairman to make his presentation. Thank you, sir.
Rumi, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, Mr. Anisul MP, the chief guest of our 9th anniversary, Mr. Justice Muhammad Rezaul Hasan, Honorable Judge of the High Court Division of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, thank you for your kind presence and continued support to Bangladesh International Arbitration Centre. Over the years, distinguished guests, the speakers, Moinul Kabir, the Secretary, Ministry of Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs Division of the Ministry of Law and Justice, Mr. Fida M. Kamal, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court and former Attorney General, Mr. Ali Reza Iftikhar, Chairman, Bangladesh Association of Bankers, Bangladesh, and Managing Director and CEO of the Eastern Bank Limited, Mrs. Niyat Kabir, President of the Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, one of the distinguished sponsors of the BIAC, and Mr. Shams Mahmood, President of the Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the sponsor of the BIAC, and members of the jurisprudence and members of the what is called dignitaries and the legal profession, and I'm delighted to have your gracious presence, all of you, in this founding anniversary of the BIAC and the first 9 years, the impact of BIAC on institutional ADR in Bangladesh. I must recall with full gratitude that the Honorable Minister, since his assumption of office from this, what is called in the law, justice and parliamentary affairs, had been supporting and giving and extending his unqualified support to bring about a change in the overall scenario of the ADR. Your valuable thoughts towards BIAC's contribution in the field of institutional ADR in Bangladesh motivates us to strive harder and rise to the occasion despite these troubled times due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which has created colossal hardship on our economy. With great sadness, we acknowledge the absence of our founder board member, Mr. Latifur Rahman. Mr. Latifur Rahman was the chairman of the Transcom Group and a former president of the Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, who was also awarded the Business for Peace Award, the Global Business for Peace Award, has been instrumental in bringing in about the situation here today of the BIAC. He died on July 1, 2020. And we had with us the Barrister Rafiqul Haq, the former Attorney General and an eminent members of the legal profession with us, and Mr. Nadan Das, former Secretary of the Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs Division, who left us during the year. Their legacy on the pandemic has indeed tested us all, and each day is a struggle for survival. We have gathered here today to appeal to our well-wishers to continue to support BIAC in this time of hardship. BIAC is your institution for ADR and is always at your service when you need it. Since the public holidays in March 2020, we have adopted necessary steps to continue all our activities online, and as offices started physical operation since May, we have been continuing operation both online and offline. Our doors are always open, and we ensure adherence to all health and safety measures for the welfare of our guests, clients, and staff equally. As we have heard from our friends this afternoon, the pandemic has prompted the significance of having an ADR framework as an inherent part of the dispute resolution spectrum. BIAC itself has seen a rise in the income inquiries and requests in the later half of 2020. And as you know, we have a tradition of celebrating our founding anniversary every year, and we publish a souvenir, marking a special publication to commemorate the occasion. Although later than usual, we have maintained the tradition of keeping up with the trend this year as well. We are now holding the celebration online. It is very reassuring to see our friends, well-wishers, and compatriots by our side, and we have made a move towards completing a decade of operation on April 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum again, and I would like to urge upon the Honorable Law Minister to continue to support and encourage adherence to ADR methods as much as possible throughout the country, and using BIAC as a formal institutional platform for this purpose. In the wake of the COVID-19, we have been running short of funds as foreign training, one of our main source of income, has been totally discontinued for nearly a year or so, and none can assure when it will restart. Though we have been trying to hold arbitration and mediation hearing both online and offline during this ongoing crisis period, maintaining all health regulations at our premises. The number of such hearings has reduced substantially. These factors have caused a setback to pursue operating cost of the BIAC. We earnestly request the Honorable Law Minister to allocate some fund to BIAC for its sustainability. At the very beginning, as our CEO has already mentioned, Rumi, that IFC, the World Bank private sector arm, has been supportive, including the DFID, the British government, supported in initial years of BIAC, but it has been now discontinued after the initial 5 years is over. So therefore, until such time, we are self-sufficient with the cases of ADR, mediation, arbitration, and so on. It will be very difficult for us to continue our maintenance, because I must say thank you to all our sponsors, the Dhaka Chamber and Metropolitan Chamber, who has been, and also ICC, who has been supportive in supporting in the difficult time. So this is very, very important from that point of view. And we look forward to the gracious support of the minister in this case, and which he has been doing in the past as well. We cherish government initiative to reduce the burden of cases pending in the civil courts for over the years, with beneficial impact on the overall business and investment scenario. I would like to end here with our heartiest gratitude to the Honorable Law Minister for his gracious participation in this session and for his valuable guidelines, which he has been providing us all through. I am confident through your patronization, Honorable Minister, ADR will find its root in our judicial system, through which our business community, as well as BIAC, will be enormously benefited in the days ahead. And it is more important that any FDI, they first look into that how the contracts and settlement of disputes are handled by the country. So this ADR is very, very important for any future decision of the people who would like to invest in Bangladesh. I would also like to request the business community and all concerned, including commercial and financial institutions of the country, to continue to support the effort and activities of BIAC to place ADR on a firm footing as an effective platform for business dispute resolution. Once again, I thank you all for joining and inspiring us and making our journey ahead and the anniversary celebration a success. I must mention here before I conclude that I was also affected by the COVID-19, and I was in the hospital for 26 days. And now almost 2 months back at home and recuperating. So it is, my friends and well-wishers all prayed for my recovery. Myself and my wife, both of us were in the hospital. So it's still in a recuperating stage. But thank you very much for all your support and for all your prayers. And here in this case, I must mention and acknowledge the sincere and unqualified attention of all members of our the BIAC institution, who has been working from home and now from the office all the time. At any time, they are available to give their attention to your inquiries and so on. I must say thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much, sir, for your intervention. Your commitment to BIAC has always inspired us and will continue to do so. We look forward to your support in future. I'd now like to request Mr. Fida M. Kamal, the former Attorney General of Bangladesh, to make his presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Honorable Minister, Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, my Lord, Mr. Justice M.R. Hasan, Honorable Judge, Supreme Court of Bangladesh, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. A very good afternoon to you all. Today, we have gathered here, indeed only virtually, to celebrate the first 9 years of the journey of Bangladesh International Arbitration Centre, BIAC, also known as BIAC. I only say virtually now, obviously because of the raging pandemic, which hopefully we will soon overcome, if for nothing else, at least, to celebrate this occasion in a befitting manner in the not too distant future, inshallah. Perhaps a gala dinner event in some time to come. I do not, however, venture to inquire into the reasons for such celebration. There may be any number of reasons for celebrating the first 9 years. In the first 9 years after it started its journey in 2011, BIAC has successfully established itself as a center of excellence in this field of activity, aspiring to be an accredited center of excellence in the region. Also, perhaps next year, i.e. 2021, will not only be the year of the Golden Jubilee celebration of the glorious birth of our nation, Bangladesh, but that year will also mark the first 10 years, i.e. the first decade of the journey of BIA. Indeed, another milestone will have been achieved by them. During the last 10 years, there has been sustained and vibrant economic growth in Bangladesh. Economists who proclaim this phenomenal growth as the necessary data and statistics in this regard. They say this phenomenal, vibrant, and sustained economic growth has been achieved largely as a result of the relative political stability conducive to such vibrant and sustained economic activity. An important aspect of this economic growth is the infusion of foreign direct investment, FDI, into the Bangladesh economy, where national, multinational, and international corporate and individual entities contribute very significantly. Such contributions necessarily result in various engagements in business ventures in Bangladesh. As in all human relations and transactions and business ventures, particularly in the context of international commercial contracts and relations, disputes, differences occasionally arise in such ventures and contracts. For the settlement of such disputes, the usual recourse is to go to the court established by the state. However, if the parties to a dispute want to settle the same with relatively less formality, as also hopefully in lesser time entailing also hopefully lesser expense than those as are seen to be usually involved in a recourse to the courts, the willing and desiring parties may seek alternative options. These alternative options are commonly known as alternative dispute resolution, ADR methods. Arbitration is one such alternative method of resolving disputes. Mediation, conciliation, and a compromise, in other words, out-of-court settlements, are the other ADR methods. Prudent business persons, instead of getting their disputes settled in the state-established courts by way of litigation, which invariably take a long time to resolve, and the same is certainly not cheap in any way, they preferred instead of litigation to agree to resolve such disputes by way of arbitration. This clearly is a preferred option because this method is perceived to be efficient, quick, and cheap, all relatively speaking, of course. It is in this context that the value of arbitration as a method of settling disputes has been universally recognized. From the primitive to the present times, the method has largely remained the same. However, by way of fine-tuning the method, incorporating new skills, understanding, and intelligence, progressively new levels of sophistication has gradually evolved over the passage of time. There has been remarkable developments in international commercial arbitrations across the world. In this day and age, arbitration does not stay within the national boundaries. Quite often, arbitration transcends national boundaries. For example, a corporation based in the USA might contract with another corporation based in Germany for the construction of a power plant in Bangladesh, with any disputes being resolved by arbitration in London. How is the arbitration agreement to be enforced if a dispute arises and one of the parties refuses to arbitrate? And if there is an arbitration which leads to an award of damages, how is that award to be enforced against the assets of the losing party if that party refuses to carry out the award voluntarily? The national law, one state alone, could not deal with problems of this kind. Plainly, what is needed was an international treaty or convention which would link together national laws and internationally accepted best practices to provide a uniform and satisfactory solution. In time, such treaties and conventions came into being. We have notably the Geneva Protocol of 1923, which went some way to provide for the international enforcement of arbitration agreements and arbitral awards. This was followed by the Geneva Convention of 1927, which widened the scope of the Geneva Protocol, and then by the New York Convention of 1958, which further strengthened the process of the international enforcement of arbitration agreements and arbitral awards. The influence of arbitral institutions in the establishment of these international treaties was considerable. It may be pointed out that side by side with ad hoc arbitrations, there has been developments resulting in the establishment of permanent arbitration institutions having its own set of rules and procedures. One of the oldest of these permanent institutions is the London Court of Arbitration, founded in 1892, which incidentally claimed, and I quote, to have all the virtues which the law lacks. It is to be expeditious where the law is slow, cheap where the law is costly, simple where the law is technical, a peacemaker instead of a stirrer-up of strife, unquote. The Court of Arbitration of the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, in Paris, founded in 1923, played a major role in the promulgation of the Geneva Treaties and of the New York Convention, and which has been at the forefront of the development since. Also, during this period of the last 10 years, in 2011, it may be noted, BIAC started its journey in response to the felt need to cater to the demands of such a fast and furious economic activity. BIAC, with its published procedures and rules regulating the arbitration proceedings under its auspices, established an institutional arbitration setup where ad hoc arbitrations also seek its help and assistance. BIAC has a panel of skilled, trained, and qualified arbitrators, together with the required infrastructure and state-of-the-art facilities.
In 30 minutes, I can't.
Established at its premises for the efficient conduct of arbitration. BIAC has progressively, over the past 9 years, changed to become better, faster, smarter, and a stronger institution. Each successful stage in its journey laid the foundation for the next stage. And it is in this process which brings us the personal and professional satisfaction that we all desire and want and aspire, and make our businesses every bit as profitable and successful as we want them to be. With these few words, I would like to conclude and congratulate BIAC and say it has been a very successful first 9 years, which we are now celebrating ceaselessly and forever hoping to celebrate similar and even grander successes in the years to come, inshallah. Thank you all. Stay at home and stay safe. Allah bless you all.
Honorable CEO, I will take your leave if you so permit.
Thank you, sir, for being with us. And I can understand you.
Thank you.
You had already told us.
Maud bhai, Assalamu alaikum. Ami jai, with your permission.
আমি আপনার পারমিশনের জন্য আমিও অপেক্ষা করতেছি আমার ওই বিয়াকের আজকে বোর্ড মিটিং which is sorry CAPCO which is international meeting তো আমিও জয়েন করব মানে ওখানে আপনাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ স্যার
ধন্যবাদ সকলকে ধন্যবাদ
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Fida Kamal, sir, thank you very much for your inspiring words on the progress BIAC has achieved, which will certainly help us to remain focused. We heard some of the recommendations you made on the way forward. Thank you again, sir. And now I will now call on my ex-colleague and one of the most well-known bankers.
Mr. Rumi Ali.
Yes.
Mr. Rumi Ali, I'm Moinul Kabir, Chief Secretary. May I take leave?
Yes.
Because I have another meeting.
Thank you. I'll now call on one of my ex-colleagues and one of the most well-known bankers of the country, Mr. Ali Rezaul Iftikhar, Chairman of Bangladesh Association of Bankers, Bangladesh. Iftikhar, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Rumbai. Good afternoon. Let me take this opportunity to thank BIAC for inviting me to this auspicious occasion on its 9th anniversary. I am privileged to be sharing Zoom space with Honorable Minister of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Mr. Anisul MP, and Mr. Rezaul Hasan, Honorable Judge, High Court Division, Supreme Courts, and other distinguished guests. My salam to all. 9 years is not usually considered as a milestone in the journey of a institution or establishment, but time should not be measured with years. It should be measured with respect of contribution, the impact it has had, and the influence it has made in the society, and the way it has shaped up things for betterment. In that respect, I must say BIAC, or Bangladesh International Arbitration Centre's journey has far nothing short of remarkable achievements. BIAC has been actively contributing over the years to the needs and the demands of the business community for the country by facilitating the alternative dispute resolution Bangladesh, as well as winning the investors' confidence. The primary goal of BIAC is to help investors and entrepreneurs resolve the commercial disputes efficiently out of court. BIAC has been providing out-of-court solution to commercial dispute quickly, transparently, and in a very cost-effective way, leading to growth of businesses and entrepreneurs in this country. During the COVID-19 pandemic, BIAC handled dispute resolution virtually in a cost-effective and a very efficient way. The key lessons we learned during COVID-19 that we need to operate efficiently and cost-effectively. BIAC has always been conscious about cost and believe in settling issues quickly. In this course of 9 years of BIAC has carved its niche towards becoming the credible for business, both domestically and internationally, and gradually establish itself as a sustainable ADR service provider in this country. Special thanks to Mr. Mohammad Rumi Ali, CEO of BIAC, for playing a key role in lessening the burden of judiciary in dispute management resolution. And my respect to Mr. Mahbub Rahman, Chairman of BIAC, for his vision for introducing the ADR in this country. I sincerely hope BIAC has a lot to offer to this business community for the growth of this country. Thank you very much once again. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you. As a banker, he has been short and sweet. Thank you, Iftikhar. I forgot to just read I just said he's a very well-known banker. He indeed is. But let me read out his profile. Mr. Ali Rezaul Iftikhar is the Managing Director and CEO of Eastern Bank Limited and the Chairman of the Association of Bankers Bangladesh Limited. He was awarded CEO of the Year in 2012 at the Asian Human Resource Leadership Award, and during his tenure, EBL became the first company in the country to achieve BA3 rating from Moody's Investor Service USA in 2016. And I think after him, other banks also followed, going to an international rating agency, which is very good news for Bangladesh. Thank you for your intervention.
Most welcome, sir.
I'll now move on to our own board of directors. We have over here Ms. Nihat Kabir and also Mr. Shams Mahmood. I'd like to ask or request Ms. Nihat Kabir, the President of the Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dhaka, to speak. And before that, just a little bit about her. She is, as I said, the President of the Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dhaka, member of the BIAC board. She's a barrister at law, advocate of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh, and senior partner of Syed Ishtiaq Ahmed and Associates. She's a director of the Daily Shangbad, Bragg Bank Limited, Infrastructure Development Company, Pulli Kormo Sahayak Foundation, and Bcash. Nihat, the floor is yours. Thank you. Nihat, are you there?
Thank you. I've just turned my video off because of slightly precarious situation of the internet.
Okay,
you may not
go ahead.
have the video on. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to all the distinguished guests, in particular Mr. Justice Amar Hasan and all my senior colleagues from the legal and business sectors. You've somewhat ambushed me by asking me to speak, Ruime, but I think what I would like to say is that in the context, this is putting on both my legal hat and my MPCI hat. In the context of the Ease of Doing Business Index, in enforcement of contract, Bangladesh came 189th out of 190. Now, I particularly don't much care for this index because in trying to bring 190 very disparate countries into one metric, it plays a lot of games. And we've also seen recently in the media that the index's rankings were suspended this year because the metrics were not, and the survey results were not interpreted uniformly across countries. However, it is what it is, and we are still stuck with this 189 out of 190 country ranking, which for a country like Bangladesh, in its stage of economic development, is just not, it's just not acceptable. I have been looking into this for the last several months with the Honorable Law Minister, with the Office of the Honorable Private Sector Advisor and BIDA, and the cost and time elements, where in Singapore, a contract dispute regarding a contract can be resolved in 120 days. Our time is 1,463 days. And in some cases, it is being generous. Therefore, I really think that even in this context, alternate dispute resolution is very, very important. But for some reason, we are just not being able to get it to a critical mass. BIAC has been working, and I have to congratulate and I have to really appreciate the hard work which has gone into BIAC through the years, and particularly the last few years, Ruimbai, under your most able leadership, that we need to somehow bring this idea of alternate dispute resolution to the forefront, if necessary, by pursuing the Honorable Law Minister, the government, to make it mandatory to go through some sort of arbitration or mediation process before going to the courts. These delays in dispute resolution have been flagged by foreign investors time and time and time again as being one of the major reasons why they're still they're not still putting Bangladesh at the top of their investment destination, notwithstanding all the other advantages that we provide. So I would request the support from the board of BIAC. I would request the support of all of you who have been kind enough to join us today to pursue this goal. And I would ask Ruimbai to set a path which we can follow a targeted approach which we can follow to try and achieve this goal as soon as we can, using the government's stated policy objectives to make the private sector the engine of growth in Bangladesh. Thank you very much again. Thank you all again, once again, from the board of BIAC for giving us your time today.
Thank you, Nihad. As usual, you have been very helpful. You are a great help and a supporter in the board, and I thank you again for coming on and speaking, even without your video. Thank you very much again. And now I'll call on Mr. Shams Mahmood, who is the president of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry and a member of our board. Mr. Mahmood is the managing director of Sasha Denim Limited and Sasha Garments Limited. He is the honorary consul of Ethiopia to Bangladesh. Mr. Mahmood is an LLB from the University of Hertfordshire, UK, and obtained certification in international business and finance from New York University, USA. I understand Mr. Mahmood is very busy and he's tried for time. I thank him personally for staying with us so long. Thank you, Mahmood. The floor is yours, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chief Guest of today's program, Honorable Minister, Mr. Anisul Haq MP, Ministry of Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs. Special guest, Justice Muhammad Rezaul Hasan, Honorable Judge, High Court Division, Supreme Court of Bangladesh, Mr. Mahbub Rahman, Chairman, BIAC, Mr. Rumi Ali, the CEO of BIAC, distinguished members of BIAC board, distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would like to extend warm wishes on the occasion of the 9th anniversary of BIAC to all members of the management of BIAC especially. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the chairman and CEO of BIAC for their endeavor and leadership in making BIAC more effective in promoting ADR in the country. Bangladesh has become one of the fastest growing economies in Asia and has impressive track record of robust economic growth. This economic surge is propelled by consistent private investment, manufacturing, and international trade expansion. In tandem with growth of the country, commercial disputes have been increasing as well. Local and international trade are inevitable for strong macroeconomic growth and foundation of an emerging economy. Bangladesh has envisioned graduation into developing country and developed economy by 2041. The growth is often resisted by multiple trade disagreements, undeserving business disputes, and challenges. More than 500 trade disputes are brought under WTO dispute settlement since its establishment though the rate of settlement is insignificant and time-consuming. To quickly settle commercial disputes and restore the confidence of businesses, ADR as an out-of-court settlement mechanism works and helps improve doing business environment and business competitiveness of Bangladesh. The roles of BIAC is remarkable to keep lower and resolve trade and business disputes under the arbitration law and guidance through mediation and arbitration mechanism. Over the time, it has become recognized as a trustworthy arbitration center encompassing domestic and international commercial arbitrations. BIAC has undertaken commendable initiatives to reduce the vulnerability of banking sector in addressing NPL-LC settlement. The intensifying and multidimensional commercial disputes in the changing global context have created new variants of disputes. The COVID-19 has aggravated the business disputes and concerns of the business community. In line with these growing disputes, BIAC is urged to open up new avenues to widen the ADR service outreach. In order to protect the interest of SMEs and provide them institutional ADR facilities, BIAC and DCCI have made partnership, which will strengthen institutional ADR and ease nationwide trade facilitation and improve business ecosystem. I just want to mention that from now on, any disputes between members of Dhaka Chamber, a DCCI member, and any other entity will be forwarded to BIAC for the settlement. I wish BIAC will move forward towards sustainable ADR regime and emerge as an excellent arbitration center in the region in the near future. Thank you so much, and Allah Hafiz to everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Mahmood. Thank you for your encouraging speech, and I wish you a safe journey. I'd like to thank all of you, all the distinguished guests, but in particular our Honorable Minister, Mr. Anisul Haq MP, our Honorable Justice M.R. Hasan, our special guest, Mr. Fida M. Kamal. Thank you, sir. I'd also like to thank Ali Reza Iftikhar, the chairman of the ABB, and definitely the members of our board who are all here, almost all, headed by our chairman, Ms. Nihat Kabir, Mr. Shams Mahmood, and we missed Ms. Rokia Afzal, but I'm sure she is with us in spirit. Thank you all for your support. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, in particular MIM Limited, AB Bank, and CAFCO for their support, and every one of our audience who have given us the time on a holiday. Thank you all. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.
Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of our webinar today. Thank you so much for being so patient and giving us your time on a weekend.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, and
we do wish all of you
all of you
a
a
very
happy
happy and a very new year.
prosperous new
And we
year.
look forward to
And
seeing
we
you
look
soon.
forward to seeing you soon. So take care, and we're signing out. Thank you.